Won't, won't.
Welcome to episode 51 of the Backlot 605 podcast. I am one of your hosts. I'm Casey Kelderman.
I'm Brian Mensing.
Brian, you're back.
I know.
Yeah. You missed some Halloween festivities last week.
Yeah, I had to pick and choose. What really sucks for me is that I hated the fact that I was missing episode number 50. A nice little milestone, but
technically this is also episode 50 that people actually will be able to hear. Well, so it's another milestone for us.
If you want to split hairs, then actually episode 50 was like 5 episodes ago. If you include, all the other stuff that we've been adding.
Yeah, we're well over 50. I think every episode's a reason to celebrate. It's all a celebratory time every time we come and record.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah, and even more this week because we get to talk Terminator.
Wait,
yes.
Can only go so far before we have to get copyrights.
We're going to get copyright strike. James Cameron is coming after us already. He's like, I need to fund my Avatar movies. We're going to be talking some Terminator this week in honor of Dark Fate, which releases this weekend. So we'll be talking about that in our main topic for the week. Let's kick it off with... We're going to mix this up a little bit this week, I think. We're going to start with the news, then jump to the box office, then the main topic. So,
we'll see what we got.
Yeah, we'll jump with the news here. First look at Bloodshot, the new Vin Diesel action science fiction film. Brian, I will let you start with this one. Because you will be a little more positive, I think, on this than
I will be positive. I don't know what to think of this thing yet. I've only seen the one teaser trailer that's out there. There's been an international one that was released. I haven't had an opportunity to watch it. I don't know what to think yet. It's another comic book movie that Vin Diesel wanted to do and whatnot, and I applaud him for wanting to stay in the genre. It's something that's different, and, I don't know yet. It looks a little convoluted still. The trailer doesn't help me try to understand exactly what's going on, other than the fact that he's in some way, shape, a super soldier with nanomites that is being manipulated by the people who made him who he is.
Yeah, I'm looking up some of the credits here. Directed by Dave Wilson, his first movie.
Hey, you know what? You gotta start somewhere.
You do gotta start somewhere. Why not start with Vinny Diesel? I think this movie looks like garbage, and I think every year has one of these, and unfortunately, it's this one.
Do you think this is the garbage movie?
I think this is the one. You always have those movies, January, February, that are like this like, it's not necessarily a remake of anything, but either they're based off a property or they're trying to be a new franchise. But they're always like this sci-fi action movie, and they always have, a star attached to them, maybe not anything else. And I think this will be that movie. It'll underperform at the box office. Critics will probably hate it. But in terms of what I saw in the trailer, yeah, I think it looks really bad. Vin Diesel needs to stay in that fast. He's only good in those Fast and the Furious movies, and I take good lightly because it's more of the camaraderie of the characters that he has in those. Him on his own, he's just not compelling.
I guess it depends on the movie. I mean, I say that because,
Have you seen The Pacifier, Brian?
Oh, no. But I'm like, for instance, like I think like Pitch Black, for example. The Chronicles of Riddick and stuff like that. I think I honestly, for Vin Diesel, it has to be a passion project, and I don't know how much of that is in this. Whereas, he has his favorite characters, and he likes to go back to Dominic Toretto. Obviously, he's done it for as long as he's been doing it, that sort of thing. But, it only seems like the ones that really play well with Vin Diesel are the ones that are, the big passion projects for him. He may have been approached to do this movie because it's in his lane per se. The action
in his lane, huh?
Pun intended. No.
Cars, yes.
Cars, right? But I don't know yet. I don't. I'm definitely up in the air for it.
Yeah, I won't stick on it too long. I won't be going to watch it. I won't watch it if it comes on Netflix. Like I said, every year has got one of those movies, the January, February sci-fi action movies, and this looks like it for me. And Vin Diesel's red eyes. Just I don't know. I don't know what to think.
He's going to get you. This is his Terminator.
Oh no. Arnold is a better actor than Vin Diesel. But let's jump to a little bit other Vin Diesel news because he has a new cast member
for Fast 9.
Fast 9, which is rapper Cardi B.
Hey, again, I mentioned this to you before we started recording. My understanding, as someone who has not seen the movie yet, which maybe this would be something we need to bounce off of Andy the Fat Dude, is my understanding is that she held her own in Hustlers. So if this is something that is not a throwaway role, i.e. Iggy Azalea in the Fast and Furious franchise, if this is actually a meaty role that makes sense, then at that point I would maybe see, maybe there's more to it than just, hey, we're throwing another name at this movie.
They're gearing up for that all-female Fast and the Furious spinoff.
Hey, you know what? It is certainly a plausibility.
I think it maybe after 10, we're not going to be too far away from having Fast and the Furious spin-offs probably left and right.
Fast and the Furious in space.
All they need they don't need to call it in space. It's just Fast and the Furious X. And then they go to space.
Oh, then they go to space?
Just like Jason X.
Just like Jason?
Yes. I don't have much to say because I've never seen her act.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. It definitely fits within the franchise of who they have cast before. Obviously, one of the main people in the franchise is Ludacris, and he is a rapper.
And Tyrese, who's been there from the beginning, who's a singer.
Yeah, so I think it's within the franchise to cast people like this and have them show up in either small bit roles or eventually become part of the family of this series. I don't know. We'll see what happens when this movie comes out.
Yeah, the question is
next summer.
Like I said, do we get an Iggy Azalea small little bit role just for shits and giggles, or do we get like a T.I. and Ant-Man where like you need Dave in that movie? Like when they came out with Ant-Man 2, you're like, bring all those guys back, including T.I.
I wasn't saying that, but I get what you're saying with that.
Jerk.
But yeah,
jerk.
We'll see where it goes. I'm indifferent either way. The next piece of news we got to talk about. We have a new trailer for the film Antlers.
What the fuck is this? And I'm assuming it's something you found on your horror stuff.
This was...
Antlers does not sound like anything that would be like a romantic comedy. It doesn't sound like an action movie. No, this sounds like right up your alley. Like, no, you've been fishing for a horror news.
This was a straight up... This is a horror trailer. Produced by Guillermo del Toro, Antlers. Directed by Scott Cooper, Crazy Heart, Hostels, Out of the Furnace, Black Mass. Jumping into the horror genre... And I'll read the basic premise of it here off IMDb. A small-town Oregon teacher and her brother, the local sheriff, become intertwined with a young student harboring a dangerous secret with frightening consequences. Stars Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons. Yeah,
Kerry Russell's really gotten this weird resurgence in the last few years, ever since she started doing The Americans.
Yeah, she's been getting some, like... She's popping up in these movies, and I always enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, she was in Dawn of the Planet of the... Was it Dawn or War? I think it was Dawn.
I remember.
But yeah, and her popping up in this, she's going to be in the next Star Wars movie. I like having her show up in these smaller roles.
It's one of those things where it's like, I never claimed Kerry Russell to be a bad actress, by all means. But it's just like, she just kind of faded away into obscurity, and then just all of a sudden, she gets into The Americans, and then she's literally everywhere again. And she's having her own Keanu-sense.
Yeah, and it's kind of like she's not getting pushed to the forefront of any of these, but she's picking and choosing projects she wants to be a part of, is what it seems like to me. And Antlers, I think it looks like a good time. It looks like a good, spooky, atmospheric horror film. Obviously, having the name Guillermo del Toro attached is going to help this movie out a lot. And for me, who loves like practical effects, having del Toro's name to anything makes me hope that, yes, practical effects will be upfront and personal. Especially with a movie called Antlers, you could go a lot of different ways with those type of effects.
So they're just all going to be gored by deer.
We'll see, Brian. We'll see. But yeah, that movie comes out this April 17th. Next April, April 2020. So yeah, I'll be there. I think it looks like a good spooky horror movie, and I mean, it has an R rating, and that's always good because I don't like horror movies getting into that PG-13. Looking at you, Countdown. I think that might be rated R, but it looks like garbage either way.
Well, and I'm like, I will still be the champion for the Happy Death Day movies for being PG-13.
PG-13 Countdown. Ugh. Next piece of news we got here. The next Bond film, Bond 25, No Time to Die, wraps filming. Finally.
Well, and I did look just for clarification. They have wrapped principal photography. So obviously that means there might be some reshoots or some whatever that needs to be done.
Pickup shots,
but at the same time too, the fact that this thing has been so riddled with pain and suffering and delays and your actresses bailing on you on the day of that they come in and all
main actor being hurt like right away and
like he's been hurt like 4 times on this set.
Just cast Tom Cruise as James Bond already and let's get this movie going.
Have Tom Cruise be a stunt double.
Daniel Craig's stunt double. They're probably the same height. They're not too far off.
I don't know. I just know that Tom Cruise is short.
He is short. Lol. But yeah, there's not much news to say about this, but I'm glad that, hey, this movie's finally getting closer to release.
We're getting in the right direction, but I'm still fearful of the fact that they have not moved the date yet. That it's still in April of 20. I mean, they're going to have to put in a lot, and hopefully maybe most of it was all practical, and there isn't a whole lot of post that needs to be done.
I mean, it's a Bond film. There's probably not a whole lot you have to add besides what you shoot. But, yeah, this movie, because when did Spectre come out? 2015?
Yeah, it's been a few years now.
5 years.
This is definitely the one that's been the longest delay in his section of the franchise.
Yeah, I'm still excited for it because I want to see how, because this definitely will be Craig's last Bond movie. I don't think he wants to do anymore, especially after this production. I'm sure he doesn't want to deal with that again.
I don't need another broken ankle, he says. I'm excited to see Rami Malek as the villain.
Yeah, and I think having Cary Fukunaga directing a Bond film could be very interesting. And I think we could see, something different we haven't seen in Bond before. Still, the biggest hang-up for me is Craig as Bond. I'm like, does he care anymore? Is he going to bring it?
Is he going to phone it in?
Is he going to bring it? Yeah. Is it his last one? Is he going to phone it in? But maybe, it's my last one. I'm going to give it my all. That's why I frickin' broke my ankle or whatever.
Maybe he's just getting old.
That's what he is getting old. But, yeah, I'm just... There's so many different variables within this movie, but I'm glad to see that it has finally wrapped production. Yeah, we're getting one step closer to having another Bond film in theaters.
And just think, in like 6-8 months, we can start speculating on the new Bond. Maybe we'll get our Idris Elba.
Again, we talk about the old thing. I might be changing my tune on Idris Elba the further we get away from Craig.
Why is that?
Because he's an older gentleman.
Well, he is a gentleman, though.
He is a gentleman. Yeah, we'll do a full Bond episode at some point.
We'll get Taron Egerton as Bond.
That was my choice. Next piece of news we got here. Netflix is testing a 1.5 times speed on their content to make you're giving the option to watch your content on Netflix at 1.5 times faster speed.
Stupid.
Do you think it's stupid?
I think it's fucking... Now, here's my deal.
For you or for other people in general? Because I see why this is going to be
I absolutely see why this is going to be a thing, and I do absolutely think it's going to get utilized. There are going to be those people that are going to utilize the shit out of this. Absolutely. You and I are not one of those people.
This is for binge watchers. If you're going to watch every single series on Netflix, yeah, you're going to watch it a little faster and maybe not take everything in.
Right. And then what Entail also does that. So if you have X amount of people watching it in 1.5 speed instead of 1 speed, they can either rewatch or they go on to the next series so that Netflix can pump up their numbers to say we have had this many viewings, blah, 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 because they can get through those viewings faster. Mm-hmm. You can now get through your 8-10 episodes that are 50 minutes, so that's 500-ish minutes. So now you get it down to 3.5 minutes, or 350 minutes, so you're now, that's huge. So I get why, but for those who love and appreciate movies and film like yourself and I do, I think it's dumb. I will never use it. I don't even know what I would even use it for.
Yeah, I know some people that already do this, like with watching TV shows that they record, but it's either for sports or professional wrestling is the people that I know that use it.
That would and
that makes sense.
And that's different because if you talk, so let's just say a football game, and you're talking your 4 quarters, 20 minutes, with the commercials, with all the delays, everything like that. That shit doesn't go an hour and 20 minutes. That shit is like 4 hours long, and you just want to get to the good stuff. Where's that fit into cinema?
Yeah, It doesn't fit, like I said, I think the only place it would fit would probably be for people binge watching TV that maybe don't want to fully engross themselves into the television show that they're watching. Maybe leans better towards rewatching shows. Let's say I've seen The Office through 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. What if I wanted to watch it again quick before it gets off? Maybe, I'll watch it at a faster speed.
And then here's my question here then. And then have they built the player to speed it up, but then bring down the voice? Because as you speed it up, the voice is going to go up. So then do they figure out a way to be able to bring the audio down so then that way it doesn't sound like it's a higher pitch?
It's not going that much faster that it changes it that much, but
almost twice as fast.
1.5, that's not that fast. If you want 5 times, it'd be they're talking really fast.
Well, but still, I don't know.
I wouldn't want to watch it. Either way, I wouldn't want to watch it at 1.5 times the speed. But yeah, I can see why they would add it to it. It doesn't mean you have to use it, and I think it's a addition that I'm surprised they didn't have already.
Yeah, agreed. Because again, like I said,
TVs have had it for how many years? You can watch whatever you want to watch recorded at faster speed. YouTube, I think you can already watch stuff at 1.5 times speed.
If that's a thing, I don't know because I don't use it.
I don't use it either, but I think it's an addition that's, I'm surprised. When this popped up on our news, I was surprised Netflix already didn't have this. The next piece,
it might honestly just be possible that they didn't have it because they hadn't built the infrastructure for it. To be perfectly honest, because if you look at their interactive stuff that they've done, like Balderdash for Black Mirror, not every device that can view the content can do the interactive stuff. So maybe it's just it was a limitation that they didn't want to roll out yet until they had more devices that can handle it.
That could be too. But yeah, I think it's something that I'm not surprised that they added. Let's jump to their rivals, soon-to-be rivals, Disney Plus.
Dun, 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 dun.
The rumor mill has it that Disney Plus is working on Hocus Pocus 2, a sequel to the original Hocus Pocus film from the 90s. Brian, have you ever seen Hocus Pocus?
No. I know.
So this adds nothing to...
So many people that I know that I tell them I've never seen the original Hocus Pocus, they look at me and you're wrong. For some people, Hocus Pocus down, Charlie. Hocus Pocus for some people during Halloween is a Christmas Story and A Wonderful Life during the Christmas season and everything like that. So I definitely get it. I just never got around to watch it. What year is it? 93? Yeah, and that was, it's definitely more tailored towards your younger generation. in 93 is when I'm getting into like middle school, getting into high school and everything like that. So I really wasn't the demographic for it at the time it came out. Now, everybody who's fallen in love with this movie, I totally get it. I totally understand it. The people that are in the women that are in this movie are very solid individuals. My only thing, and they have not confirmed or said or anything like that, is that if they are going to move forward with this, they bring back the same three ladies. Like, you can't do this without Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and for whatever reason, the third gal from Sister Act's name is
Sister Act.
That's what I know her from.
I know her from Rat Race.
And Rat
Rat
Race.
Kathy, I'm gonna butcher her last name. Nanjami?
Sure.
But yeah, that's also part of this. The same news is that if they do this, it'll the three main Sanderson sisters will return.
They better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do it? I mean, I'm still on the fence about the Home Alone thing, but that's more of a reboot, not a sequel.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more. I give a little bit more lenience to that.
Bring back Macaulay Culkin.
I'll bring back as the dad. We had this conversation.
Yep. You can take it, Disney.
We will let you have it.
Yeah.
I just want the residuals.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of those people that did grow up on Hocus Pocus. It was on like Disney Channel every October. Mm-hmm. Now it's on, I'm sure it's still on Disney Channel. It's on whatever, Freeform. Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's Freeform.
I still want to call it ABC Family.
Well, you're not
was.
wrong.
Yeah, it's on that like every single day in October. I think they do what they do on like with A Christmas Story. They do like a 24-hour marathon of Hocus Pocus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie's fine. It's a good gateway horror film. It's a fun like.
I wouldn't even call it a horror movie, other than the fact that it's witches and whatnot. But
if you're gonna introduce your kid to a horror movie, I use horror lightly.
Very much so.
Okay, there is some scary parts, but for kids. So this might be like the first horror movie they ever watch at 6 or 7 years old. Or younger. Like it's one of those type of movies. It's a PG movie. But yeah, I think it is one of those movies that households have added to their their yearly rotation in October. And yeah, if they do a Hocus Pocus 2 on Disney Plus, it'll play like gangbusters on that site.
As long as those three come back.
I think either way it will. People are attached to that name, Hocus Pocus. It's everywhere now. All of a sudden, here in the last 5 years, this movie has really developed, like, I would say more than a cult following. Well, it's its own entity now.
And that's my concern. If you're going to do a sequel and not bring those three back, that's where I think you might have the revolt. Is everybody's going to be on board all of a sudden? What? Bette Midler's not going to come back? Nope, we're out. We disown you, Disney. You're fucking with our movie.
I think that would be the case if it was in theaters. If it's already on their $5 a month Disney Plus, hey, yeah, we'll watch it.
Maybe.
But yeah, that's I think if they do it, it's probably it's just been a matter of time, honestly, with this movie, especially with the traction it's gotten in the last 5 years. And yeah, you can't go into a Halloween store without seeing these costumes or their merchandise somewhere in the store, or an entire section of a Halloween store with Hocus Pocus in it. So let's move to our last piece of news, also involving Disney. Disney has been putting more Fox movies back into the quote-unquote vault. So repertory screenings will become much harder for Fox properties now that they fall under the Disney catalog, the Disney banner. So that means basically what that means is less Fox properties, Fox-made movies from the past will be shown in theaters with like anniversary screenings or Halloween screenings, Christmas screenings, whatever it may be. It'll be shown less in theaters and maybe not at all anymore.
I guess we'll find out.
Well, we already have found out. A lot of screenings aren't, a lot of theaters and programmers aren't being allowed to show some stuff this Halloween.
Such as
one guy was trying to book the original Fly and The Omen in a double feature, was not allowed, was denied by Disney. The only some other people have also tried doing the same with The Omen, and the only one that seems to be able to get traction for people from the Fox banner is Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I think it might just stay that way.
And
because Disney itself doesn't sell out their their movies for repertory screenings. Any Disney movie you want to get in the theaters, it has to go through Disney, if at all.
Right.
So I
think the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I think, is one of those films that, because of its audience, because of its history in those releases every year, is, I think, one of the ones where Disney is probably like, we need to let this one go, because, again, the fan base, there would be a revolution on that respect.
That's the one where it's pretty much only known for that.
Exactly.
It wasn't known for its main theatrical run or you watching it at home. No, it's going to the theater and watching it with a group of people dressed up as the characters and
every single year
interacting with what's happening on screen. But hearing this news, I hate this. This honestly, this sucks. Because you're going to be unable to watch some of those classic Fox movies in the theaters anymore. One off the top of my head that they just did, I think last year, was Die Hard for its anniversary in the theaters.
Yep.
That won't probably ever happen again. And I think it's partially because of the Disney Plus thing, where these Fox property movies will end up on Disney Plus and or Hulu, and that's where they will unfortunately stay, and they won't be allowed to be shown in screenings like that. And yeah, I think this is just bad for the business in general, because it keeps Disney keeping its vice grip on everything they own.
I'm going to asterisk at that just a little bit, in that you're talking about like the Die Hard, and when they showed Die Hard last year, Die Hard was for an anniversary. It's not unusual for Disney to do some stuff for the sake of an anniversary, i.e. when Lion King was re-released in the theaters and stuff like that. I think it's going to be just more of these one-offs. Like if you and I were to try to approach Disney to try to do a small little screening here in Sioux Falls, that's going to get denied.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be what we're going to be left with is going to be the stuff that is obviously going to be Disney controlled. They're going to be the ones to say where we're going to see it, when we're going to see it, that sort of thing. It's those those one-offs that you're talking about, i.e. like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Those are the ones that are going to be subjected to this issue, if you will.
And I do think it's an issue. I honestly, after hearing this news, because we had heard rumors about it for a while that maybe Rocky Horror might be the one that slides by.
Where did you find this anyway?
But everything else, I think it was a Variety article. But yeah, this honestly makes me want to not go to any Disney thing in the theaters right now. It honestly makes me, as much as, like, yes, I am also partially a Disney shill, because yes, I have gone to see every Marvel movie in the theater, every new Star Wars movie in the theater. It makes me want to not go and see those things in the theater anymore. I honestly, like, after this next Star Wars film, I might be done for a while, because this stuff hurts. Like, it sucks that we can't be having this stuff in the theaters anymore. And furthermore, like, if it's because of Disney Plus, as much as, it would do nothing to have, people boycott it, it's still going to make a ton of money. But yeah, if you feel the same way, it might be something that you look towards getting a different streaming service, like getting Criterion Channel or subscribing to Amazon Prime instead, or something like that. But yeah, it's I think there's going to start to be even more of a divide between Team Disney and Team everything else, which I don't think it should be that way. We should all be on the same team, and I think it's just unfortunate that movies like this will not be able to be shown in the theaters in that capacity anymore. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Are you done? Can we get you off your soapbox?
No, I am stuck on it.
You bastard.
Yeah, so that's my soapbox on that. I think it just sucks overall. So we'll see if this changes at all. I doubt it. Disney, like they did with their own stuff, they like to keep stuff in their vault, and now that they own the Fox catalog, hey, why not do the same, I guess, is their mindset. So yeah, but yeah, that's our Disney talk for the week.
Dun dun dun. Okay, so the box office.
The box office.
The box office.
Number 1 this week. Moving up from number 2 last week.
This
Joker.
Not gonna lie, this one shocks me.
Joker barely edging out Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, $18.9 million.
The fact that a Disney movie got kicked out that quickly.
Yeah, it shows the power of this movie.
It shows the power of the Joker.
The Joker. An R-rated movie. Jumping back
A
out of the
Joaquin
second.
Phoenix led Joker movie.
Yeah, that's its total gross here just in the U.S. 277. It's gonna probably break $1 billion worldwide.
Oh, I could see that before it ends its run.
Yeah, it's the highest grossing R-rated film of all time now, top to Deadpool.
And even Ryan Reynolds is like, I bow to you, Joker.
I think it's not. I mean, it's cool to see this happening, and for me, it's not really a surprise that it did because
No.
I don't hear anyone talking about Maleficent. People are still talking about Joker, and will keep talking about. Joker.
Definitely. Maleficent is one of those ones where it's like, I can take or leave. I didn't mind the first one. I liked the spin on it, but it was like I'm not 100% familiar with the premise of what they did with the second one here to say whether or not it was a justified sequel. If there's a story to tell, then so be it. If you're going to make money off of it, so be it. But don't be making a movie just because you can. So,
Yeah.
But no, I am extremely impressed, and I honestly would not be surprised if half of these, a little bit of the estimate and the bump of Joker to get back into number one is because of all the talk about it being the number one R-rated movie but I mean, that it is. So I would be surprised if there was a little bit of an uptick because of that news.
Yeah, number 2, like we said, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, 18.5, so barely falling down behind Joker. 65 million total gross here domestically. Yeah, I would say it's underperforming for a Disney movie. But I don't know who was clamoring for this movie though either, and so
Right.
so that's part of why this box office is this way. Number 3, the Addams Family, $11.7 million, doing pretty good. $72.8 million domestically. This has garnered a sequel will be happening for this movie.
I still don't know what I think about that.
I don't
And
know.
the fact
I think it's cool to have a family-friendly animated Halloween-themed movie to come out in October.
That I can't argue.
Yeah.
But, the one thing I'm looking at this, though, and I'm like, okay, so the Joker had a slight decline in the number of theaters that was watching, but it was still a nice, good, solid number. Addams Family has like 400 more theaters than Maleficent and still is of 7 million below. Like, it's I think the only reason why it's even third is just because it's literally in 4,100 theaters.
And what else are you going to take the family to? Maleficent?
Zombieland 2.
Zombieland 2, yeah. Or
Jesus.
Joker, yeah. Like Maleficent isn't everybody's cup of tea and might be a little too much even for kids to go to. Mm-hmm. So I think the Addams Family is literally the only thing in the theater right now that they can go to. Number 4 is Zombieland, double tap, $11.6 million.
They got my bucks.
Doing pretty good.
I finally got to see
How
Double Tap.
was Double Tap?
It was definitely on par, and definitely on par to the original. But one thing that I did really appreciate about it is they used the time gap between the first and the second one to really kind of poke fun at themselves in the process. The cameos that are in this movie are absolutely fantastic. The Bill Murray thing didn't go quite like I expected it to, but considering how his character it takes place in the first one, it makes sense with what they did, and it's absolutely hilarious. I think Ruben Fleischer, he did an amazing job on being able to continue this story. I would be really interested to see if in 2029 we get Zombieland 3 and do another 10-year gap and whatnot. Because they definitely, the biggest thing that they play on this movie is the age difference of Abigail Breslin from the first to the second one. because, she's just a kid in the first one and whatnot. And this one, she's the adult and whatnot, but, they've been living in this world of the zombies and whatnot and, still trying to be able, basically being treated like the kid kind of thing. No, absolutely hilarious. The final act in regards to the zombies and whatnot was fantastic.
Yeah. This one, unfortunately, will probably end up being a home watch for me because it's hard to find a time to go to the theater with as much as I've missed so far. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm still excited to watch it.
And I would say, as much as I enjoy this movie, and I say that you should go to the theater to go see it,
Go watch Joker.
go watch Joker first.
Yeah. Then let's wrap up our box office here. Number 5, Countdown, $9 million. Yeah, Countdown. That's a movie. Yeah.
I actually, the funny thing is, I didn't even realize Countdown was coming out.
Yeah. I did because every YouTube or like ad I saw on any streaming service was for Countdown.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a PG-13 horror movie. It's gonna find an audience, especially now. Here we are, Halloween season, perfect time for this movie to come out. Seeing it, $9 million, I think it's probably losing some of that steam because of some other movies that we have in the theater. Because even look at the top 5 that we have here, you can consider them all somewhat in the vein of a Halloween theme.
Sure.
Because Joker is this hard R crime movie about this guy that dresses up as a clown.
Yeah.
Maleficent is about these fantastical creatures in a fantasy world. Addams Family is the Addams Family. Zombieland, zombies, and then Countdown, it's a killer app. Like, each of these movies has a Halloween element, horror element to them. And I think that's probably what took away some of the box office that Countdown was looking to get. So yeah, there's only one other note I want to bring up here, and that's the number 8 for this week, which was Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse.
At least Countdown made its budget back.
Yeah, probably was made for a quarter and a ham sandwich.
Countdown Part 2.
Yeah.
What about The Lighthouse?
Yeah, The Lighthouse was number 8 this week. It only opened in 586 theaters, but still managed to take that number 8 spot with $3 million. I think that is pretty good. It shows the power of, like, people want to see these movies. They're going to go and try to find the closest theater near them to watch this. Unlike Sioux Falls, where we won't get this movie for a while.
No, we won't. Yeah, and that being this is week 2, and that was an uptick of 578. So that's what they were in, 8 theaters last week?
Yeah, so probably all in Los Angeles.
And New York.
And probably
Los Angeles and New York. Yep.
Yeah.
Because, Black and Blue, because everybody likes a Tyrese-led movie.
Poor Tyrese.
I like Tyrese, but he's not a leading man.
No.
That is just one of those things that just needs to be understood.
He's not the lead in this movie, though, either. I think it was heavily pushing him in the marketing because of, one, hey, he's in the Fast and the Furious movies. Come watch this movie with Tyrese. But yeah, there's only one other movie. Number 9 was The Current War, which we did get here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It was only in 1,000 theaters. It was behind The Lighthouse, and it was in 500 more theaters. So I think that just goes to show if there is a buzz and a push behind these movies, people are going to go watch it. Mm-hmm. I heard nothing about The Current War.
But what little bit I've seen, I genuinely want to see it.
Yeah,
it has a good, solid cast, too.
I do, too. But in terms of critical buzz, have you heard anything?
Not a lot.
Neither have I. And it has a good cast. I like the premise and the story they're going to tell. And yeah, it just goes to show it's like buzz can really help a movie.
The only thing I can think of is that if to your emphasis on the amount of theaters and the marketing, whatever, right? Lighthouse, A24, right? The Current War, 101 Studios. Have you heard of them before?
No.
Exactly. Myself, neither have I.
I think that's part of it. A24 has it's a brand. It's a brand. People are going to go watch these movies with that connection to them.
And that's one thing I actually like about A24 is that they've positioned themselves in a way of that, you can see a Warner Brothers logo, a Universal logo, a Disney logo for that matter, and you're just like, oh, whatever. You see A24 and those who know what to look for stop.
Yep.
Like Uncut Gems. You know, when you're like Adam Sandler in an A24, before you even know what the premise of the movie is, before you know anything's going on, you're like, A24 and Adam Sandler, you caught my attention.
Yes.
So I think that's everything about the difference between the current war and the Lighthouse.
And I think that's really cool that we have this really smaller, more independent studio, A24, where
That did Tusk.
yeah, they do movies like Tusk, and they've done both of Robert Eggers' movies, and yeah, it's something like it's an event. It's something you seek out to go watch the next A24 movie. You know? It is. It's almost like hey, it's a Marvel movie. I need to go watch the next Marvel movie. It's like I need to go watch the next A24 movie because it's related with a certain quality and standard.
Even though some people would probably give you shit for the reference that you just made, I think that is a very applicable reference.
The Marvel and A24.
Yes,
Yeah.
because no, you're absolutely correct. We've gotten to the age where calling it a superhero movie, and I bring this up because of Joker, is a superhero movie is now what the genre is basically being called. Like, they're calling the Joker movie a superhero movie because it's a comic book movie. They don't want to call it a comic book movie because, well, it's not a comic book, it's a film. So now it's the superhero genre to the point where it's like, we don't go to a Marvel movie because of whatever the case is. Otherwise, second tier characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy wouldn't have worked. You know, we're going to a Marvel movie
Because it's the next Marvel.
Marvel movie. I wouldn't have thought about it that way. I think that's a good analogy to say, hey, I'm gonna go check out the next A24 movie because I know the kind of caliber and the type of movies that they're gonna give me.
Yeah, every time I'm in a theater and I see that the A24 logo pop up, I'm like, all right, I'm already intrigued.
Right.
And people have that, like, they see the Lucasfilm logo. All right, Star Wars trailer. The Marvel logo, like, all right, Marvel. You know, it piques curiosity immediately.
You just said the Lucas logo. Ooh, Star Wars trailer. Here's the unknown Indiana Jones 5 you didn't know we were getting, son of a bitch.
Starring Chris Pratt.
Shia LaBeouf is Mutt.
Yeah. So that's the box office for the weekend. Next week will probably be a different story. We'll see Terminator at the top. We'll see, I think Joker will stick around number 2, though.
Do you think the Terminator will take over the Joker and Maleficent? Or do you think those two are all three of them are going to fight for first?
No, I think Terminator, if Joker's making 18 million, Terminator can easily make over 18 million next weekend.
Well,
I'm going to go, I don't know, I don't like making predictions because I'm usually wrong. 40 to 50 for Terminator.
I'm thinking around 35.
Yeah. So
I think there's enough bad taste in the mouths of the moviegoers
from Jenny Smith
to that it's not going to be quite up there.
Yeah.
It might have, I think, a less of a dip in week 2 when more and more people are going to go see it. That's going to entice the people who didn't want to go first week because they think they're going to go see garbage. That it will have less of a dip in second week, but I think maybe 30, 35.
Yeah, I think this will be our box office here for probably the next 2 weeks is the Terminator, Joker, Maleficent top 3. Mm-hmm. Maybe in fluctuating capacity, but yeah, that'll be our box office here for the next while.
Next while.
All right, let's jump to our main topic then. Terminator. Now, Terminator, we are going to be talking Terminator. We're mostly going to stick with the timeline in which the new film will be going off of. So that's The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We'll briefly touch on those other sequels, but yeah, we'll stick with those because Dark Fate does come out this weekend, and we'll kind of stick within that timeline. So let's kick it off with, first, let's talk about a little bit about Dark Fate. Brian, are you one? Like there has been some screenings for it.
Yes.
Fans have been able to see it so far, and it's getting pretty good reviews.
Even if they're reviews off of people who thought they were going to go see Terminator 2.
Yes.
You were so bitter about that.
Again, it's one of those things. So the story is that people got tickets to go watch Terminator 2 in the theaters, restored and everything, and instead of playing T2 Judgment Day, they played Terminator Dark Fate, and I said, I would kind of be a little mad if I didn't get to go watch Terminator 2 in the theater. Like I should, like if Dark Fate was great, and people have been saying it's great. Okay, I probably would have let it slide. But if they showed me, Terminator Genesis, I would have been pissed. But yeah, it's been getting pretty good reviews so far. And who would have thought that the main character of the franchise was the key to having this a
Shocker.
quality film?
Well, not even necessarily that, but is the one thing that I had read about when the review started coming in about the quality, not the quality, but this movie was that it wasn't that because of we got Arnold Schwarzenegger, we have the Terminator. No, the catalyst to this whole thing and what we that they should have figured out a long time ago was it was Linda Hamilton. But I also did just see a thing here the other day. TV's on, background noise kind of thing. It was on Entertainment Tonight. And they had Linda Hamilton on it. And one of the reasons she was hesitant to come back to the franchise because after T2, the only things that she was basically getting offered for roles were like the militaristic type of role, the lesbian, the basically the butch woman. And that's what kind of made her kind of fade away a little bit, and she was hesitant to come back to this. And from what I'm seeing and what I'm been reading and whatnot, I'm glad she did that. She's like, what, I need to come back to this. I need to make it whole again.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that it's finally taken now four movies later that we finally get Sarah Connor, like original Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton back. Yeah, like that would have been like for me, like if I was a producer on these movies, that would be the next logical step. It'd be like, well, yeah, we follow Sarah Connor like in the third movie. Like bring back Arnold because you need Arnold in these movies because he is so connected to him now. But yeah, she's kind of the main character in these.
Yeah. The other thing I found kind of amusing when I was seeing the interview with her is how she looks badass in this movie, and I cannot deny that. They actually dyed her hair gray because she doesn't have any yet. Like they purposely made her look older.
Well, you can say the same thing for Jamie Lee Curtis in the new Halloween movie. She doesn't look like that in real life.
Well, she doesn't have that much, but she at least has some of the gray hair.
Yeah. But yeah, let's kick it off with the original Terminator. Do you remember the first time you watched the Terminator?
I probably
Were you too young to be watching it?
From when I watched it for bits and pieces, yeah, probably a little bit. I don't think I've really watched the Terminator from beginning to end until probably after T2. When you're like, oh, this is kind of good. I need to go back to the original. And you realize the whole time thing and whatnot. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love. You can't even call it a cameo back then because that's not what it was. But to have Bill Paxton at the very beginning of the movie,
big blue mohawk.
Yes.
The fuck, man.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember which order I watched them because for me it was always
you probably watched T3, then T2, then T1.
No, it was Terminator 1 and 2, but I think it was I had watched parts of T2 on TV, but never watched the full thing. And then I think both were like on Netflix or something, so I watched them both very close to each other. But yeah, when I was watching the first Terminator, I was probably high school. But yeah, I guess I didn't fully realize like how much of a straight up science fiction action horror movie this is.
This is not a horror movie.
We will let that go. I think it is. You don't. Let us know what you think. I think that's a good debate though to have. Is Terminator a horror movie?
He thinks it's a slasher movie. I say he's wrong.
It's a science fiction slasher movie. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let Brian know if he's right.
So thank you for letting me know I'm right.
Yeah, but the Terminator I think is both Terminator 1 and 2 I both think are perfect movies. I don't think there's really any flaws in either one. Maybe you could have used a little bit more Bill Paxton, but that's not really a flaw to the movie.
Well, and that's just it. I mean that was just literally like a one-off. And who's to say that maybe if they would have gone that road, if they would have realized the potential they had in Paxton, because unfortunately memory does not serve me very well. Does this come before or after Aliens?
Oh man, you're testing my knowledge of when these movies are.
Yeah, movies that came out before you did.
This is before Aliens, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Aliens was 86.
So who's to say that maybe this wasn't the catalyst to get us Bill Paxton in Aliens?
Oh, it definitely was. It's the James Cameron connection.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You know what? You are really good as that weird Mohawk guy that we had for about 10 seconds. Do you want a bigger role?
Yeah. Pretty much playing the same character.
Yeah, pretty
In
much.
space. But
Game over, man. Game over.
The Terminator, I think, is one of, if not my favorite, time travel movies as well. And that's one thing like when I watch Terminator 1, at least I like to focus on, like, one, it's kind of a scary movie. Arnold is scary in this movie. He's also, like, super jacked in this movie.
Well, he was still like
Bodybuilder Arnold.
Arnold. This is the first movie, if I remember correctly, where he was allowed to use his actual voice.
I have not seen anything before Terminator from Arnold.
Because like
maybe that's a good thing.
Because like the early Conan, I want to say, were dubbed over because they didn't think that his Austrian accent would play well to the American audience.
Little did they know they had the biggest movie star maybe ever.
Right.
But Terminator, like looking at the time travel elements is one of my favorite things to do with this because it's set in 1984 when this movie came out, but it starts off in the future, and it starts off with adult Kyle Reese and his partner in arms, his war buddy, John Connor. And so basically, what happens is they're fighting, a Skynet in the war after Judgment Day, and in order to, stop Judgment Day and Skynet from ever happening, John Connor sends Kyle Reese back to stop a Terminator that was sent back to kill his mom. So that's kind of one of those things, like it's one of those time travel elements where you kind of have to take out the laws of physics completely, which I'm fine with because Bill and Ted kind of does this too.
Take out the paradox effect.
Yeah. And I think that's why I love Bill and Ted, because I like paradox time travel movies where like something you do in the past will affect the future, and you have to remember to do that every single time, otherwise you're going to change the timeline.
Yeah.
And so
But see, this one completely negates the idea of the paradox, thing, whatever, because of the fact that we know going into this that he's basically sending his father back in time. Be like, so I know I need to send this guy back to this time here so he can impregnate my mother so I can be born.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people are like, well, yeah, he sends Kyle Reese back to kill the Terminator. I'm like, no, he sends Kyle Reese back to make sure he's born. Like, it's because he's like, at that point, John knows how much of a badass his mom becomes and how much his mom leads into the resistance like him, and how much like she's gonna be the one that kills this T-800 Terminator from the first film. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, Kyle Reese is sent back to make sure John is born in the first place. Therefore, in the future, when Kyle Reese is there, he can be able to send him back every single time. Like, it's I don't know. James Cameron was on a lot of cocaine when he wrote this movie, but yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes, he was a lot of cocaine. But yeah, the Terminator, it has one of the best scores, like, of all time, in my opinion. The Brad Fiedel score is like, it's iconic. It gets stuck in your head. We were just humming it like as we were starting the show. Yeah, it's perfect, and it fits this movie to a T. And one of the things that I love about it is that Sarah Connor in this movie is not a badass.
Oh, in this one? No.
She's just a waitress.
She's the damsel.
Yeah. Until the end, where she has to kick ass, and then into Terminator 2, it's great. And but yeah, do you have any other final thoughts on the Terminator?
I love the ending, to be honest. The crushing of the T-800. Just watching that red glow just flicker and die. It's such an iconic image. Okay,
so as I have the IMDb open here,
yeah,
I'm looking at the one video that's right on the front of the Terminator.
Uh-huh.
That's maybe the one knock I would give it, is that Arnold's fake head when he pulls out his eye is not the best looking.
Well, again, hey, You're giving me shit about me talking smack about the special effects of the Friday the 13th movies in the early 80s and whatnot. You know,
They hold on this one too long, though.
yeah, well, there's some. Anyway, you and I will disagree on that part. Um, I mean, you have to figure, though, that based on for early 80s and for lifelike type of prosthetics and whatnot, it's, yeah, it's painful in today's standards. But, that was pretty damn good back in the day.
No, I'm not gonna knock it for that because I find practical effects, no matter how they look, not more commendable, but I like the effort that's put into them,
Right.
in that factor. So, but yeah, then we get to Terminator 2, which is just a special effects, just eye candy, like visual flair that is thrown into it. And Terminator 2 is, I don't know about you, I think it's one of the greatest action movies of all time, period.
Oh, it's definitely great, and I mean, I do like the premise, even though some of the ideas of the time travel seem to be a little bit of a taken with a grain of salt and loosely adjusted to their own story time. But
Which time travel?
well, just in general, again, the fact that the whole idea of having to send your father back so you can be born, kind of thing, because here's the simple idea. What if he sends the wrong person back? He's never born. So he somehow has to systematically and figure out exactly who or what needs to happen in order to be able to make sure that he sends back the right person. That he needs to know that this guy is going to, get all up on his mom so that way he can be born.
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of what Sarah probably knows and tells John as he grows up after T2, he probably knows who Kyle Reese is at that point.
Maybe.
And yeah, we don't need to stick on the time travel too long, but I love the time travel. I love the fact that it's like, yeah, I have to send my dad back, but then on the other end, Skynet has to send that first T-800 back in order to build Skynet in the first place as well. Mm-hmm. Because in Terminator 2, which came out 92, does that sound right?
Yeah, something about that.
91.
Yeah.
Almost a decade after the original, and this one completely shifts it from Arnold's the bad guy, now Arnold's the good guy, straight up sci-fi action thrill ride. And now in this one, young John Connor is this rebellious preteen who lives with this foster family, hangs out with this cool redhead friend, and listens to Guns N' Roses. Like, I want to be Edward Furlong, John Connor. Like,
Edward Furlong was fantastic in this movie.
yeah, as much as people give him shit, like, oh, he's annoying, and I'm like, take that out of it. Like,
he was literally just like this loner kid who didn't know, stuck with these foster parents and everything like that, is trying to be rebellious and whatnot. He fit the mold for the time, especially if you're talking that it's the early 90s, everything like that. He's the anti 80s pop kind of stuff. This is, I think he did it quite well, in fact.
Yeah, and I think looking at John Connor alone in this movie, it's almost heartbreaking looking at where he is at in this movie, period. Because his mom is technically really crazy. She's locked in an insane asylum, to start the movie.
She's not crazy. Everybody thinks she's crazy.
No, but even when you get towards the end, she completely ditches John again and goes off to go kill Miles Dyson from Cyberdyne. Like, she completely ditches her son again. Like,
Oh, Joe Morton.
Yeah, she kind of pushes him to the wayside. Like, there's so many different elements within the Connor family to explore within these movies, but it's almost heartbreaking to look at where John is in his relationship with his mom, which she's trying to do it to better him for the future that's inevitably going to happen. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's one of my favorite things to look at. That's why I think Terminator 1 and 2 are just perfect movies. The way they not only build an entire world around it, but also these characters that fit in that world and develop it even further based on their relationships and how they interact with each other. And also, the T-1000 in this movie is legitimately terrifying.
Oh, he was a perfect fit for that.
And I don't know. I love the fact that Arnold, he's big bodybuilding Arnold, and then you pair him up against skinny, shorter Robert Patrick.
Yes.
But that run, his
Yes.
run in that movie is scary. I still like. It's not a horror movie, but like, I think like if you saw that guy running at you like that, that'd be terrifying.
That's actually one of the reasons why I love his casting in The Faculty. Robert Patrick, because there's even a little bit of a nod to that where all of a sudden he starts going running and whatnot, and you're just like, it's the T-1000.
He's doing the run. I love his cameo in Wayne's World, where he's playing the T-1000, and asks Wayne if you have seen this boy, and Wayne drives off scared, and
He's like, no.
Yeah, but but Terminator 2 has just a kick-ass soundtrack. Obviously, for me, Guns N' Roses is like my favorite band ever, so having Guns N' Roses in the soundtrack is awesome. It might have...
Can you imagine, like, trying to, figure out how that conversation would have to go with the egotistical, Axl Rose? He'd be like, hey, we want you only if I get to be the centerpiece of this.
You need to have the kid with a giant boombox play it. Play You Could Be Mine.
Does it do, like, say anything? Hands up in the air? No, not like that.
Yeah, I love Terminator 2. I think it has one of the best action set pieces ever with the motorcycle semi chase.
Yes.
Through Los Angeles. Just the fact that they just destroy everything with that semi and how much practicality went into that, it's perfect.
City of LA, here's what we want to do. Yes, we will fix it when we're done.
Don't worry, this movie will make a lot of money. We'll be able to help.
Because I tell you what, there are certain shots and things in this movie that if it was done today, it would be done by CGI because they don't want to destroy the city. And
let's talk about the CGI in this movie.
There's not a lot going on.
There's not, but it works really well when they use it.
Right. And especially his eye. They improve upon the eye.
They improve upon the eye. The T-1000, I think, still looks great to this day. I think this is like the perfect... I think this is partially what movies today kind of fail to fully utilize is the mixture of practical effects with the CGI to balance each other. Mm-hmm. You fix the flaws, the practical effects, like Arnold's face in the first Terminator. But then you can still hide some of the CGI. You can tell it's not there with the practicality of it all.
I mean, there's even aspects of Robert Patrick and the T-1000 that were still done practically.
Yeah.
Like when he's shot in the head and whatnot, there's certain parts of, when certain things are shot for that scene, it's literally like a piece of actual, like, thing that they are just using for reference. Well, not necessarily reference, but like the back shot of his head and whatnot, that's actually a piece in frame and whatnot that, their special effects team did in terms of like the practical effects, not just, then obviously you turn around and you see him kind of dangling around or whatever, then yeah, that's when the visual effects come into play. But yeah, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed by that.
Now, there's one thing we should probably touch on. The catchphrases.
We be careful with the word touch.
We need to touch on it. Catchphrases.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Come with me if you want to live.
Well, yeah, you
Hasta la vista, baby.
I freaking love that when they're going through like things that he should say and stuff like that, and
he's basically giving him one.
John Connor's trying to teach him things.
Yeah, I love the camaraderie between the two in this movie. Like I think it's perfect because I love the fact when it's I would say we've seen it a million times in movies because you have. It's very much the same relationship like Iron Giant, hell, even E.T., something from another world or a different time or whatever it may be comes and hangs out with this kid from present day and it's the fish out of water story. But I think this is one of the best examples of that because of, one, the ending. I still think is heartbreaking every time you watch it.
You want to fucking cry.
You want to cry at a Arnold Schwarzenegger-led action movie.
You want to cry at an inanimate object giving a thumbs
It's
up.
the thumbs up, man. Oh, it is. It's heartbreaking to watch it because of the relationship that they set up throughout the movie, and two, the performances by Edward Furlong, I think, in that final shot is perfect. And yes, the use of the thumbs up, it's so simple, but yet it's just heart-wrenching.
It was so simple yet so effective.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is just it's obviously an iconic movie for a multitude of reasons, and within an iconic franchise with one of, if the most iconic characters ever, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. And yeah, do you want to touch on the next ones?
We can try.
We can try. That's what they were saying in the producers room. Well, we can try.
I one of these days I'll get around to watching Genesis, but
yeah, let's start with Terminator 3 then.
Terminator 3, the TX. Is it TX? Yeah.
Yeah.
The TX.
Rise of the Machines 2003, 12 years after T2.
Mm-hmm. Because the time frame between 1 and 2 wasn't enough. They're like, let's push it a little further.
One, because Terminator 2 finishes everything that the franchise was about.
True.
Like, it puts a definitive end to it, which...
You mean like destroying the T-800, destroying the chip, destroying the arm?
Literally destroying everything that would have been left over. Like, it's a definitive end. But no, hey, we need to make more money.
But you know what?
Arnold went to go be governor for a little while, and now he's back.
And the part that's funny about that is that he, with the way that this movie is designed and the premise and the time travel and everything like that, the part that's kind of funny about all this is the fact that, yes, it had its definitive end, but because of the way it's written, it's never the end.
Yeah, but that's not introduced until this one here, Terminator 3.
But just in general. Because, in other movies, they make light of the fact that the events happened, but it only prolonged.
Push back where Judgment Day is.
Exactly. Do you remember when Judgment Day was?
97.
August. I think it's August 28th of 97.
Yeah.
I
love the look of Judgment Day in Terminator 2. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about that, but
I will say this: if anybody has any of the old DVDs of when T2 was first released on DVD, there is the alternate ending. Like, you can get the different version of the movie with the alternate ending attached, everything like that, and watch the other cut, if you will. If you know how to get through the Easter eggs of the DVD, which includes knowing what day Judgment Day happens, you have to put in a specific code, and then you'll get the alternate version of the movie.
Oh, DVDs.
I still have that DVD.
But Terminator 3, I've never actually watched this full thing.
Why not?
I've watched bits and pieces, because I like I said, I think Terminator 1 and 2 are perfect, and I think T2 is just a perfect conclusion. And from what I've seen from Terminator 3... it kind of looks like a TV movie.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
It might not be. Like I said, I haven't watched the full thing, but to me, like, just the visual look of it kind of looks like a TV movie.
I mean, it has been a hard minute since I've seen it. I was trying to go through a bunch of horror movies and some Jay and Silent Bob movies before, so I didn't get a chance to really catch up on my Terminator movies. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that it was bad. I mean, the things that I hear about Genesis and whatnot tells me I'd rather watch Terminator: The Rise of the Machines first. But, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it by far wasn't a superior to its predecessor, but it's not like it was a complete piece of shit.
I think this is honestly the most forgotten Terminator movie, though.
And I think that's part of the problem. Like, this is the first time they flipped the script where your bad guy, your Terminator, was a female. It wasn't,
which you can tell it was some male executives who were like, yeah, what if it was a female and we can enhance her, like she enhances her boobs
or her butt
and her butt.
Yeah, they definitely do that. Was Weinstein on this movie? Sorry, bad joke.
Bad joke.
Bad joke.
Yeah, but Terminator
Pig.
3, this is the one where, yeah, Arnold, he's right front and center. He is the main character in the movie. It's not the Connors.
Right.
It's Arnold's Terminator, and yeah, from the
'Cause
bits
this
and
is-
because I've seen bits and pieces of this.
Oh yeah, this is the one with Claire Danes and Nick Stahl.
Yes.
Which that's the other thing too. Like agreed, where you just said is Arnold is the star to this, not the Connors, not anybody involved with it. So it kind of puts John Connor in the backseat kind of thing, which I do legit think is a disservice to the movie because, you know, you hear the names of like Claire Danes and Nick Stahl, and you know, there's a lot of people that are like, who, you know, the my life, it's just they're really good actors, and I just don't think they were given the opportunity to shine in this movie. Like if you were not going to be able to get Edward Furlong to come back to reprise his role, and you do something, Nick Stahl is a fantastic actor. You know, he's been one who's been around since he was a kid as well. And Claire Danes obviously is still going strong, yet still here yet today. And I think everything was overshadowed that it was all about Arnold as opposed to Nick Stahl.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with once we get into Terminator 3 Salvation Genesis is that Arnold is kind of the through line because one, Arnold's one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Two, it's that different people are playing these characters every time, and it's hard to connect. Like if you're stuck on Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, and someone else all of a sudden in the next movie is Sarah Connor, you're not going to feel that same connection.
I suppose that's true.
Same goes with Edward Furlong as John Connor. You're not going to feel that same connection right away. Yeah, they may be the same character, but as an audience member, you're going to look at it a little differently.
I think that all kind of boils down to depending on where in the timeline this is supposed to fall. So, like, for instance, this was 12 years between the second and the third one. You probably easily could have, if Edward Furlong would have been able to come back and whatnot. There might be various reasons why he was or was not, or whatever the case is.
He was still acting during. I just looked up his filmography. He was in a couple movies around this time.
Mm-hmm. But he also had some troubles outside of the film industry, so that might possibly have something to do with it. But it's like, you do run the line of, depending on when this movie takes place in the timeline, you can't necessarily cast the same person. You have the exception to the rule with Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's playing a cyborg. He can play a different version of the same character.
Yeah.
He's a different robot, but he's still the same robot. Whereas you can't have Edward Furlong in 92 and it be Edward Furlong in, 50 or something to that effect, that kind of thing, just because obviously he would not be old enough without the bad makeup or so. So maybe that's where they're going with it. But honestly, between the age difference between Nick Stahl and Furlong, it was unnoticeable. But I don't think that they were given the proper dues.
Yeah, I think there was numerous things that kind of one. It's not a great villain for Arnold to go up against, especially going up against the T-1000, which is one of the greatest villains of all time in cinema. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the TX I think is pretty much a major step down from the T-1000.
She did have a lot. Did have some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, she did, and I think that's maybe where you change it up, and we'll change it up into Terminator Salvation, which is probably the way they should have just gone, maybe right away.
Maybe
into the next film, because
into
Mick G and PG-13.
See that right there is the wrong answer. Not Mick G. Mick G is one of those ones where he's hit or miss. He can make absolutely phenomenal movies. He can make some real big garbage. But Terminator, that if you had a movie like Terminator, or that maybe it started on a PG-13, I would have more lenience. You don't start on an R, continue on an R, keep going on that R, and then go, you know what? We're going to make that shit PG-13.
We're going to go back to the war that everybody wants to see in PG-13.
Yeah, and that's exactly. We're legit talking about the War of the Machines finally, and they're like, let's dial it back a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's like every nerd, like what was the actual war like? Like that'd be cool if they made a Terminator movie about the war.
Uh-huh.
Here it is, and it's PG-13.
Yeah.
That's the biggest flaw I think to start it off with this movie.
Yeah.
I think a good addition to it is that it's not Arnold centric,
Correct.
and I think
And
obviously you have Christian Bale in this movie.
And I don't, and as much as people want to give flack about Salvation, I enjoyed Salvation. I think again, it was that whole idea of, depending on how far into the future and the timeline you're putting this here, you have to put, an adult. You can't put Edward Furlong, for example, to show that he's the rugged, he's basically been living this life in the post-apocalyptic Skynet world, kind of thing. And I think Christian Bale owns it extremely well. Relatively depending on what movies you were watching at the time. Nobody knew that Anton Yelchin is in this movie. I generally, overall, I enjoyed it, even with all of the backlash that, oh yeah, fuck, I forgot Sam Worthington was in it. The backlash that people that Christian Bale got about when he went off on the lighting guy or whatever, and they got the audio on him. But even then, when the guy that was getting yelled at came to Christian Bale's defense, no, I fucked up, or whoever it was.
Yeah.
Like when they gave
Oh, good for you.
they gave context and no, he legit he had a particular reason to going off.
I I love watching that. I've watched that so many. I've watched that. I've never actually watched all of Terminator Salvation either, but I've watched that Christian Bale rant like a half a dozen times because I find it hilarious. This is the one where as we're leading up to Dark Fate, I'm like, I want to jump into this one because as someone who in high school, that's a perfect age to watch the Terminator movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, well, I want to see the war against Skynet. I think that'd be awesome. And even if it doesn't live up to the hype, I think my expectations if I would go into watching Terminator Salvation are pretty low enough that I might enjoy it yet.
Right.
And even looking it up, because I had only ever seen really a few scenes in the poster, I didn't realize Anton Yelchin was in this movie.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah, he plays a decent role in it too.
He's Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually one reason where I'm like, yeah, I want to go watch this movie now.
Yeah.
Sam Worthington, I can definitely do without. It was this era, 2009 to right in that era, Sam Worthington, they were trying to make, he's the next movie star.
Yeah.
He's the next guy.
Why? Because this is the same time as Avatar?
Like Avatar, Clash of the Titans. Who else was they were trying to make another guy a movie star. Joel Kinnaman, they've been trying with him for a while.
Quit giving him shit.
Jai Courtney. There's another one that I'm drawing a blank on his name. I would have to look.
There is one thing about this movie that I think that you will, when you finally go back and watch this and whatnot, I think you are going to have a little bit of an issue with. I do legit think they used pieces and film coverage and whatnot from the original Terminator to recreate, because this
I've seen the scene you're talking.
Yeah, where they
the fight against Arnold.
Fake
Arnold.
Yeah, where they show the original T-800 for the first time, and it is a little rough.
Yeah,
I will give it that. But at the same time, too, you're talking about a movie that was using source material from the '80s, so they probably were doing with what they could work with. So I give it a little bit of a pass on that. But there are aspects of it, like when they're showing the front, and you can definitely tell it's superimposed from the previous where they got the footage from, and then you got the backside where you're just seeing the stunt double. You're like, his form doesn't work, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't get Arnold for a day.
No, you can get Arnold for a day. He just didn't have the physique back then.
In '09, no, but you could have. It would have helped to have Arnold there, probably.
Oh no, I believe Arnold was there for reference and for the sound and all that stuff. He was there to do what he needed to do, but he just wasn't the actual T-800.
No, but we do get Arnold back as the T-800.
T-800
in another PG-13 Terminator movie, Terminator Jenny Smith.
Jenny Smith.
Terminator Genesis 2015. So going...
This one's all on you because I haven't watched it yet.
I honestly, I started watching it.
Oh, so you haven't even finished it either.
Didn't want to finish it, no.
Now that makes me want to watch it even more now.
So yeah, a couple of things. This doesn't fit really into any timeline of the Terminator franchise because it completely retcons things that happened even before the first Terminator movie. Because in this one, Sarah Connor and the T-800, the T-800 was sent... there was two versions of the T-800 sent back to before the first Terminator when Sarah was a child. One to try to kill her, and one to save her. The one saves her, and the other one kills her parents, so she's been living with Arnold's T-800 for this time. This
Wow.
can pretty much completely ignores Terminator 1 and 2, but Kyle Reese and John Connor are still leading the resistance. But the big spoiler that they spoiled in the trailers,
Which was fucking stupid.
which was really stupid and made me not want to watch the movie anymore, is John Connor is a Terminator hybrid in this movie.
Yeah.
So your protagonist for three of the movies, I guess, in the series so far, is now the villain of the movie.
Yeah, I did not like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at the poster, it ruins it for you.
Right? Oh my god.
And again, I brought his name up, Jai Courtney,
Who?
trying to make him.
Oh, was he
a
in
movie
that?
He's Kyle Reese.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why? Don't ruin. There's certain things that you don't put into movie trailers or movie posters. Like, who was the fuck behind their marketing team? I mean, seriously.
It's like if you make the Sixth Sense movie and you put Bruce Willis is dead in the trailer.
Oh yeah, by the way, he died.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah, Terminator Genesis, I didn't finish. The way I've heard people who sort of defend this movie is that it's an Elseworld storyline within the Terminator franchise. Like, if you know the lexicon of Terminator and the series as a whole, you might find it as a fun, like, what-if storyline, you know what I mean? Like, if it was a comic book. But yeah, from what, like, they did have big shoes to fill. This was Arnold's big return to the Terminator franchise for the first time since Terminator 3. It was going back to, hey, yes, Sarah Connor is in this movie, John Connor, Kyle Reese, all the main characters, they're all going to be in this movie fighting. It's supposedly together, what it looked like and was marketed as. And yeah, it was a big letdown. And this is why we get to where we are today. Which made me worried when we went into Dark Fate, because this movie, part of its big marketing was that James Cameron approved Genesis. This was the James Cameron approved Terminator movie.
It was approved, but he wasn't on it.
He is still credited with creating characters. He still has
I think that's kind of one of those, like, they're required to.
He has his pinky toe in the franchise.
Right.
He doesn't have his whole body.
They basically can't make the movie without him saying yes.
James, we will give you $10,000 if you say you like this movie to go help make your Avatar movies.
Did you got $10,000? Because I don't.
I don't, but maybe the marketing team did.
Then tell them to put up the 10K, because I don't have it.
Yeah, but that's what they said. That's straight from the mouth of James Cameron. And then he did say the same thing about Dark Fate, which really worried me going into the film. So yeah, we'll see if Dark Fate can redeem some of the pitfalls of the last couple sequels, spin-offs, whatever you want to call them. So going into the new franchise, do you have any expectations or where things you'd want to see in Terminator going forward?
Continue to bring in and keep the magnificent Linda Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, this movie will top the box office in the weekend. Terminator Dark Fate, it brings back that R rating. I think that helps out quite a bit within the franchise.
And I don't know whether or not exactly where and whatnot her role will play, and with the continuity and the continuation of this movie. But if given the opportunity, to keep Mackenzie Davis as well, because at least if they're going to continue, and hear me out here, is that if we're going to continue this franchise and it be potentially something of passing the baton from Linda Hamilton to Mackenzie Davis, because of, you can only make some of these movies before you're just too old to be able to make some of these kind of movies and whatnot. And maybe she's the good person to be able to kind of do that with. Maybe.
Yeah. There's one thing, we talked about this in the news, so it's not really a spoiler, but if you're worried about spoilers for Terminator Dark Fate, I'm going to say something that we have mentioned before.
Don't watch the internet, or don't read the internet.
Don't read the internet. Don't even look at the front IMDb page, because it'll ruin maybe something that you didn't know was happening. But Edward Furlong is coming back as John Connor.
That was, but Cameron acknowledged that back during Comic-Con.
But what I like is looking at this entire marketing campaign for the movie. You haven't seen Edward Furlong anywhere.
No, I think that's on purpose.
And I think that is perfect. Don't. You can say he's in the movie. I don't think that's a problem, saying that they're in the movie. It's if you market the crap out of it and maybe ruin a big surprise or reveal that happens in the movie, then you might have some problems. But I think going forward, I don't know the fate of the dark fate of either John Connor or Sarah Connor, but I think going forward, that's a vital part of the Terminator saga, is having that family within it. And I think going forward, if you continue the franchise after Dark Fate, you keep Edward Furlong. You keep John Connor.
What do you think of this movie poster, by the way?
The poster, I think it's fine.
So here's my biggest thing that I absolutely love about this poster. It's about Linda Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
She is, the big thing to show, and that it is being offset by, Arnold. The base, the smallest thing that is being shown in this here is the Terminator himself. I legit like the proportioning of the actors in this to kind of show the importance, if you will.
And it's the driving force throughout the marketing, I think, for this movie throughout it is that, hey, yeah, Linda Hamilton's back. That's the one. It's not Arnold's back. Genesis was kind of big. Arnold is in this movie.
Right.
No, it's no, Linda Hamilton's back, and I think that's really cool. We're seeing these resurgence of Jamie Lee Curtis is back in the Halloween franchise. Linda Hamilton's back in Terminator. I think that's really cool.
So does that mean we're gonna
Sigourney Weaver's coming back in an Alien movie? Yes, that's what that means.
No, I was gonna go with Nev Campbell in the Scream movies.
Well, that's a different topic, Brian. That's a different topic, because I don't want another Scream movie.
Why not? Scream 4 was good.
It is good, and it's a perfect conclusion now that Wes is gone.
Touche.
I don't want anyone else to do it.
That I would give you that.
Yeah, so that is Terminator. I'm excited. Dark Fate, I will, it's a theater, I'm going in the theater to watch Dark Fate.
Yes, this is one where, this is the first time, because I remember I was like, oh, I'm going to go see Genesis in the theater. Never got to. I'm like, no big deal. Yeah. This one, I legit would be sad if I don't get an opportunity. Which, I'm going to make an opportunity.
Yeah, looking at this coming up, because I still haven't seen Joker. This might be a double bill for me, because I haven't done that in a while. Joker and then Dark Fate.
Jesus Christ, man.
That's what I'm planning.
How have you not seen Joker yet?
I know.
Jesus.
Knowing me, I would go watch Dark Fate before Joker, just because I'm weird like that. But yeah, so yeah, that's been the main topic for the week, and yeah, we're excited for Dark Fate.
Woohoo! Yes, I'm very much on board for Dark Fate.
All right, and then like we got to do every single week, we got to do our plugs.
Plug it in. Oh shit, can't do that either.
now we're gonna get copyright infringement on that, Brian.
Just edit it out.
Our first thing we got to plug. The Killer Countdown. We just released our latest episode of the Halloween series, where we count down the top 8 films in the Halloween franchise, including every film, every weird time. Talk about weird timelines, like we did in the Terminator franchise. Halloween has some weird timelines.
Well,
choose your own adventure type of thing.
No, not with Halloween.
No,
just bring back Paul Rudd.
I kind of wish they did. But we counted down the top 8 films in the Halloween franchise myself, and we included local director Dominic Winnicky on that, and he's a big Halloween fan, so he joined us for that episode. Also, check out a couple of interviews that we have up on the site right now. We're in the Halloween season. Check these out. The first one we have is with director David Weiner of the In Search of Darkness documentary, which is available, as you're listening to this, for one more day. Until October 31st.
And then what happens?
And then it will not be available ever again.
Something tells me.
As far as I know.
I was gonna say something tells me they'll figure something out.
But yeah, this first run of being able to purchase the movie is only available until October 31st. Also check out our interview with Airlie Dodds, the star of the Shudder original exclusive film The Furies.
You got our name right this time.
I did. I didn't get it right in the interview.
I'm gonna poke fun at you for that.
I know. But yeah, you can check that out. Me and Brian had the chance to interview Airlie and talk about, the Furies and her lead character in that film. And
she was so much fun to have on.
Yeah, she was a ton of fun, and we're going to try to get her back at some point. We want to talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer with her.
Oh my God, she was such she was fangirling over that. It was amazing.
Check out our movie buddies, Andy from Fat Dude Digs Flicks and Corey Jacobson from Somewhat Random Movie Collection. Corey, you can find on Instagram with an awesome Instagram account that is Somewhat Random Movie Collection. Andy, the Fat Dude, he's on Facebook, he's on Twitter, he's on Instagram, he's on it all. He's on the Last Stop Studios movie picks of the week as well.
They just popped out a video just here and last day for Halloween picks.
Yeah, so if you're looking for some Halloween recommendations, I agree with all of Andy's 5 picks. He did a classics one and some underrated ones, and I think both are perfect.
Yeah, he threw out Hellraiser out there.
Yeah, he threw Hellraiser out.
Yeah,
hell did. Yeah. He also threw Your Next, which if you haven't seen Your Next, watch Your Next.
Keep going.
Go watch Your Next.
Quit fangirling over the horror movies.
Your Next. You can check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, and YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, check out the Sioux Falls Film Community Group on the Facebook page. Join the conversation there. Throw out some recommendations. Throw out what you're watching at any given time on the group chat there. Also, check out anything Backlot 605 related on backlot605.com. All our latest movie news, reviews, articles, coming soon articles, anything like that is available on backlot605.com. Also, check out our TeePublic store. I don't think we've plugged that in a while. If you guys want a cool Backlot sticker or a t-shirt or, there's a ton of different stuff on there. A pillow, if you want to lay down on our logo, that'd be kind of weird, but do it.
Why would that be weird?
I don't know. It might be weird.
You snuggle with a teddy bear all the time.
It wasn't weird until I made it weird. That's our TeePublic store. Check that out. It helps support the podcast that way. We get a little kickback, and that helps us, helps us on our end. So yeah. Next week though, Brian.
Next week
we have a fun episode.
We do.
Because we're bringing it back. Our favorite game to play, Schmuck's Choice. It's back.
But what's going to make it so much more fun this time?
We added a twist.
Was the twist another person?
It's an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
What's the twist?
We did add another person because we're doing another director's Schmuck's Choice where we pit 2 directors' entire filmographies against each other in head-to-head combat. But we are bringing back Brandon Lunsman, the director-writer of Tales of an American Hood Rat. He is finishing up his first couple screenings of the film at the South Dakota Film Festival and Orlando Film Festival, where he brought back some major awards from those as well. So we're going to be talking to him about that and the success of the movie, but we thought it'd be fun. We're going to let him bring some picks for this.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're going to mix it up. I'm excited to see what he's bringing because I have no idea what it's going to be. We'll see. Is he going to pit himself against, Martin Scorsese? I don't know. We'll see. It'll be a lot of fun, though. So that's next week's Schmuck's Choice Director's Edition, Part 2.
Part 2?
Part 2.
Part 2.
All right, so that's been the show. That has been episode 51.
51.
Thank you all for listening. Brian, do we have anything else we want to plug or throw out there?
No, you pretty much went. You went full something there.
Full something. I went full something.
full of something.
Yeah, thank you all again for listening. And yeah, if you're listening to this on any podcast service or YouTube, please give us a like or leave a comment or leave a rating or review, anything like that. That helps us out. That helps people find us and all of our fun content. At least I think it's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun for us. So thank you all once again for listening. Brian, this has been episode 51 of the Backlot 605 podcast.
Bring on 52.
Bring us to 52.
Goodbye.
And we'll check you out next time on the Backlot of South Dakota.